in front of yourself for staff pose. With props, we're going to make a stack of pillows, maybe a bolster or blocks on top of your legs on your lap. You can pile the props so that you can then ragdoll your upper body over your legs, resting your torso onto the stack of pillows. Alternatively, you can use the strap on the balls of your feet for the same type of effect here, if you don't have props or you don't want to use them. We're going to hold this for an extended period. Really lean into this. Envision tilting your hips towards your feet, towards your toes. Again, allowing gravity to do the work for you. Simply focus on easing your weight forward more and more, trusting that gravity will completely support you and take care of you, keep you safe and healthy. Just lean into it, breathe into it. When you're ready to remove the props, coming up, bringing your torso up, keep your left leg stretched out long and bring the right foot high to the inseam of the left thigh. Reaching for your left toes with your left hand in a side bend. Maybe reaching your right hand over the left foot and hand. Again, relax into it, trusting gravity. And then coming out of this, we'll get into a wide straddle stretch for a minute. Both legs out long. Simply lean forward for a couple of deep breaths. And then we're going to switch it out to the other side, bending your left knee and placing that left foot to the inner right thigh. Reaching for the right toes with your right hand, and then reaching your left hand over your right foot and hand. Breathe into it, lean into it. And then as you come up, stretch both legs back out into that wide straddle again. Leaning forward, reaching in front of yourself, and you might want to rest your forehead on a couple of blocks stacked on top of each other. Take a few deep, intentional breaths. And then we're going to come up and get into a seated butterfly, bringing the soles of your feet together with both hands, pushing knees down towards the floor, sitting tall, and then bending your head and neck towards your feet. then slowly rising your head back up to neutral as if you have a string pulling from the top of your head. And then we will twist our head and neck to the right. Back to neutral. And then to the left. And back to neutral. Stretch the neck and head down, rolling it out first in small motions. You might want to turn your head side to side like you're indicating a no. You might want to stretch the neck muscles out diagonally, leaning your head from side to side. You might want to nod your head as if indicating a yes. And then if you're comfortable with it and it's in your practice, you can do a full circle rotation in one direction and then a full circle rotation in the other direction. Then you're going to bring your head back to neutral before then shifting into easy pose. Drop your right ear to your right shoulder. You have an option here to use a light pressure with your right fingertips on the top of your head. If you want, you can move the head and neck slightly back and forth to gently massage out the neck muscles. And then allow your head and neck to go back to neutral before dropping your left ear to your left shoulder. And again, you can apply that slight pressure with your left fingertips if you wish. And again, option to move the head and neck slightly back and forth to give yourself an extra neck massage before then bringing your head back to neutral. Again, turn your head slowly to the right, looking as far over your right shoulder as you can. And then back to neutral, and the same thing to the left, looking as far as you can over your left shoulder, and then back to neutral. And now we're going to bring ourselves into that wide straddle again, leaning forward. You might want to use those blocks in front of you to rest your forehead on again. And we're going to remain in this stretch for an extended period. And then you can pick up the blocks in each of your hands, reaching over your left foot, placing those blocks on either side of your foot, resting your hands on each of the blocks if you wish, or you can be reaching for your toes with both hands. Again, allow gravity to do a lot of this work for you. Lean into it. Breathe into it, just letting go. And then you can pick up each of those blocks and place them on either side of your right foot, reaching for your right toes with both hands or resting each of your hands on each of the blocks. And again, allowing gravity to do the work for you, leaning into it, releasing stress and tension. And then coming back up to neutral, you can set the blocks aside. Our next pose will be bending our right knee over our left leg, extended out straight, twisting to the right, gazing to the back of the room. Right hand or fist is on the floor behind you. Your arm is supporting your torso. You can use your left elbow or your left arm to leverage on the right knee. Turning your gaze as far to the back wall as you can. Keeping that leverage on the knee with the elbow. And then slowly turn your head and your neck to be looking out over your left shoulder towards the front of the room. Deep breath, and then slowly turning your gaze to be looking out over your right shoulder again towards the back of the room. All while continuing to leverage that left elbow on the right knee. And then as we come out of this twist, we'll simply switch sides, bending the left knee over the right leg, extending out straight. Left hand or fist on the floor behind you, gazing over that left shoulder towards the back of the room, leveraging your right arm or elbow against your left knee. Breathing into this stretch. Feel the power of this twist. And then while continuing to leverage that elbow or arm on the knee, slowly turn your gaze to be looking out over the right shoulder towards the front of the room, and then back to be looking over your left shoulder again towards the back of the room. Continuing with the leverage of that right elbow on the left knee. And then back to neutral, coming out of this twist. We will next hold the soles of the feet together, getting into the butterfly. Again, pressing those knees towards the floor. Sitting up tall, before then bending the head and neck down. And again, like you've got that string from the top of your head, slowly rise your head with perfect posture. And gently turn the head and neck to the right. And then neutral. Then back to the left. And then back to neutral. And now we're going to get into cow face and then Lord of the Fish. I almost said Lord of the Flies. Bend the right knee over the left knee that's also bent, stacking them on top of each other for cow face. Holding each of your feet in each of your hands. You can sit up tall. You can massage your feet if you'd like. You can use your thumbs to press into the arches of your feet. And then we're going to twist to the right The right arm is in back, the left elbow leverages against the right knee. Your drishti is towards the back of the room. Really get into this twist. Slowly we're going to turn the head and neck to look out over the left shoulder towards the front of the room, continuing to leverage the elbow on the knee and then keeping your drishti towards the back of the room once again over the right shoulder. And then we're going to straighten out both legs in front of ourselves for staff pose, reaching the arms out overhead to the sides in that half moon arch, and then up towards the sky, interlacing your fingers and turning both hands outward and reaching up tall for 2 full breaths. And then we're going to bend forward, reaching for the toes. Then coming up and preparing to switch legs for cow face on the other side. The left knee is stacked on top of the right bent knee. Holding both feet, massaging them if you wish, sitting up tall. You can use your thumbs to push into the arches of each foot for a moment if you'd like. And get ready to twist to the left. Your right arm is leveraging against the left knee this time, looking out over the left shoulder towards the back of the room. Slowly we're going to turn the head and neck to gaze over the right shoulder towards the front of the room. And then slowly returning the gaze back over the left shoulder towards the back of the room once again. All while continuing to leverage that right elbow against the left knee. Then as you come back into neutral, out of this twist, return to staff pose. Legs out in front of you, again reaching your arms out wide in that half moon arch. Touching hands lightly overhead. You can do steeple grip if you would like, or just prayer hands. Reaching high towards the ceiling. Before then, leaning over to reach for your toes. And as you come up to neutral, transition into easy pose, reaching those arms out to the sides and then up overhead for the half moon arch, touching your hands together lightly for prayer hands. Before getting into cactus arms, preparing for eagle arms. From cactus or goalpost, we will bring our forearms together with the right elbow over the left elbow first, hands together, pushing elbows up slightly and bending the head and neck down slightly. Just feel that stretch across your upper back and neck and shoulder blades. Such a nice release. You can continue looking down, or you also have an option to slowly look up, raising your head and neck and arms all together as one. Leaning your head back slightly while pushing your eagle arms towards the sky until they unpretzel themselves, and then reaching them back out wide, touching to the floor, and then arching them back up overhead in another half moon. Touching hands together briefly for prayer hands overhead, and then back to cactus. And again, eagle arms, this time with the left elbow over the right elbow. Pushing those elbows up slightly, hands together, bending the head and neck down slightly. Such a nice stretch across the shoulder blades and neck. Again, you have that same option to slowly move your glance and your head and your arms all up, leaning your head back slightly, looking up at the ceiling as high as possible, pushing your elbows and arms up as they unpretzel again, and then stretching those arms out wide to the sides, reaching out to touch the earth, bringing them back up overhead in another half moon to steeple grip, sitting tall. Deep breath. And then we're going to do a simple twist, lowering the arms down with the right hand behind you, the left hand on the right knee. Then cross your right arm over the left arm to hold your left knee with your right hand, moving your left hand to the floor behind you. And then bringing that left hand back, crossing the left arm over the right arm to hold the right knee with the left hand. And then can hug yourself lightly in this basket position. Take a moment here to do a boat pose. I like to hug my forearms under the backs of my legs to get into a good boat pose here. You can also do that without hugging your arms together, and if you know boat pose, just your legs are risen up into the air and your arms are parallel to the floor. If you like, you can do some scissoring of your legs to get a little extra abdominal work. Before then, laying down on your back onto the floor, stretching out long. Before then, planting both feet on the floor, knees bent. You might want to hold a block or a pillow between the knees, and possibly blocks or pillows on either side of you. Just allow your knees to fall to the right. Arms are in a T. Going to relax into this simple pose while gazing out over the left fingertips. Slowly rotate your head to look out the other direction to the right, glancing out over your right fingertips. And then moving your head and neck back again to be keeping your drishti over your left fingertips once again. Before bringing the head and neck back to neutral. Then bring knees to neutral, and simply allow those knees to fall to the left, still with the arms in a T, gazing out over your right fingertips, just relaxing into this simple stretch. And then slowly you can turn your head to be glancing out over your left fingertips. And slowly turning back to bring your gaze again over your right fingertips. And then head and neck back to neutral, knees back to neutral. You can remove any props and hug in both of your knees tightly, bending the head and neck towards the knees. Engage those feet, flex your heels, point your toes, rotate your ankles, either in unison or opposite one another, or some of each. And then we're going to plant both feet firmly on the mat again. Still laying on your back. Put your right knee over your left knee and allow both legs to fall to your right. Arms are in a T. Gaze is over your left fingertips. This is my all-time favorite of all the twists. I just love this one. The grand finale. Breathe into the power of this stretch. Feel those muscles, your hip and your glutes. Then we're going to take our head and neck to be glancing out over the right fingertips. And then head and neck back to neutral, bringing your knees up to neutral. You can hug in both knees. Again, rocking and rolling if you would like to. And again, firmly plant both feet onto the mat and the left knee bending over the right knee and allowing both legs to fall to the left. Arms are in that T, glancing out over your right fingertips. Enjoy this final twist. Then slowly rotate your head and neck to bring your drishti out over your left fingertips. Slowly back again to be glancing over your right fingertips. Really enjoy this final stretch, and then you can release your knees back to neutral, hugging in both knees. Any movement you would like to do. Here you have an opportunity for happy baby if you would like. You can rock the baby, maybe alternating, straightening, and slightly bending each knee. Whatever movement you'd like to do here. Before we get into our relaxing supported bridge pose. After you're done with the happy baby, lay flat and then reach for a block for supported bridge. Plant both feet firmly on the mat, lifting up the hips. Slide the block under the small of your back on its lowest level. We're going to remain in the supported bridge for several breaths. Just relaxing into it. And then while you're still on the block, you can reach for your strap, or you can do without a strap. But if you like to get the canvas across the balls of both feet, we're going to get into legs up the wall. Again, with or without the strap. Personally, I really like to use the strap for legs up the wall if I'm not using an actual wall. Little doggy. Sleep barks. Let's see. So, after you're done with that, you can remove the strap, remove the block, set the strap aside. Hey, Mookie, come here, baby. If it's in your practice, there's an option here for the shoulder stand and the plow. Mookie, you can take a minute or two to do these, or yogi's choice. Any stretch that you would like. Feel free to get into Savasana early and we will meet you there. Should you be in your shoulder stand, you might want to point your toes tall. You might want to scissor your legs long, or any movements that you're inclined to do. Before then transitioning into the plow. I like to first lower my toes as close to the floor as I can get them while keeping my arms on the floor behind me. And then I like to slowly bring my arms up overhead to touch my toes, maybe hold my ankles, maybe keeping the legs straightened or bending the knees, or some of each. Before coming out of the plow as slow and controlled as possible, with chin tucked, rolling yourself down on the mat one vertebrae at a time to relax into the Savasana. Remembering the intentions that you set at the start of this practice. Thank yourself for taking the time out of your day to focus on your well-being, to focus on you. As we bring awareness back into the room and into our bodies, you might want to wiggle your fingers or toes. Eventually you can roll onto one side or the other and just relax there momentarily. Or if it's comfortable for you, you have an option to rock slightly with your chin tucked and come up onto both elbows behind yourself, straightening your arms out behind you, transitioning into easy pose. Or if you're on your side, you can push yourself up now and transition into that easy pose. Placing your left hand on the right knee, right hand on the floor behind you, lightly twisting to the right, then crossing your right arm over your left arm, right hand onto the left knee, and reaching your left hand behind you for a light twist on the other side, before then crossing that left arm over the right, holding the right knee with your left hand before hugging yourself into this basket shape. First, hugging yourself lightly, and then make yourself into a small ball or seed and hug yourself in as tightly as you can, making yourself as small as you can. Squeezing yourself in before releasing, and then sitting back into easy pose, stretching your arms up out wide to the sides into a star shape, and then placing each hand on each of your knees, touching the pointer finger to the thumbs on each hand. We're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth, chanting Om 3 times in a low pitch. And then stretch the arms out wide again for that half moon arch, bringing the arms up overhead to prayer hands, sitting tall, pausing briefly before lowering your prayer hands to hands over heart, and then reaching your hands back out wide, overhead into that half moon arch again for prayer hands. And then this time, on your way to hands and heart, touch your thumbs or your knuckles to your third eye to acknowledge your insight and wisdom as you bring your hands, your prayer hands over heart. Then we will bow to close and seal the practice. And so it is. Thank you for this practice today. Be well. Enjoy a very blessed rest of your day. Be sure to stay well hydrated and well nourished, and be kind to yourself and others. See you on the next. I feel like Poe from Teletubbies with my little loop-de-loop on top of my head. All right, you guys. Thanks. Oh, and now look at me. I'm like Dipsy. Too funny.